When we picked up Phoenix, he was extremely malnourished.
Hey, are we a little sleepy?
He was 2 and 8 months and weighed about 16 pounds. He could barely lift his head, couldn't sit upright on his own. It was not what we were prepared for.
Adoption was always our original plan for growing our family. It was our first choice because we both separately had convictions ever since we were children.
If God blessed us with biological children, that'd be great. But we would pursue adoption as our first choice to grow our family.
We asked first, what are the greatest needs? And the greatest needs that we were told about were older children, sibling sets, and special needs.
We were not really exposed to the world of special needs, but looking back, God was already planting that seed in our hearts. We were introduced to Lifesong by a former coworker of mine who also was an adopting family. We were given a matching grant that if we were to raise $1, they were going to match us to a certain amount. In the Chinese culture, asking people to fundraise and to support something that you want to do is just not taken well. Matthew suggested I just put it on social media. And within 48 hours, our entire matching grant was met. Lifesong confirmed to us that we were obeying God and that other people could be a part of our journey. When we brought Phoenix to the US, within 2 months, he gained 10 pounds.
The process of Phoenix learning to do something like walk took approximately 2 years.
Good job!
He had an additional diagnosis beyond Down syndrome and a lot of really severe behavioral issues.
God showed us being a parent to a child with special needs is going to be like surrendering your life over to caring for this child. We just saw God do something in this little life that we were not expecting.
Yes, you can do it. Good job, Phoenix.
About 6 months after we got Phoenix, we were dealing with some of the hardest behavioral issues that we had with him. We're feeling really discouraged. But one night, Anna looked over at me and she said, "Would you ever adopt again?" And I said, "Heck no." But I can say that if we did, at some theoretical point in the future, adopt again, having gained a lot of experience with Phoenix, I thought that it would be foolish of us not to make the most of that experience and continue putting it to use with another child with special needs of some sort.
Probably 3 weeks after we had that conversation, I'm in the Costco gas line waiting, and I get a text message. It was a screenshot, a list of conditions, and pictures of this little baby. This child is medically fragile. Would you guys be open to adopting him? And 3 days later, we met Judah. Judah has severe brain injury. I think it was very clear that he was unwanted.
We were really overwhelmed. He had over 30 syringes that he had to take throughout the day of about a dozen different medications.
When we started the process of adopting Judah, I filled out the application with Lifesong, and one day I got a call. They said, "We are not going to give you a matching grant this time. Somebody actually wants to give an anonymous grant that would essentially pay for your entire adoption."
This donor specifically wanted to support adoption in California with special needs.
It really served as confirmation, like, you guys are supposed to move forward. When we first met Judah, my only thought was, he is so fragile. I just don't want him to die without a family.
Yeah, buddy.
He cannot swallow. He'll be on a feeding tube for the rest of his life. He can't sit upright. He can't walk. He can't talk. He will need assistance to do every single function to survive. So we feed Judah every 55 minutes, 9 or 10 times a day this way.
The hardest times that we go through are often where I have felt closest to God and the most encouragement and even joy and happiness from God, because sometimes it takes going through such a hard circumstance to appreciate a gift. When I'm putting Judah down for sleep, Phoenix can crawl up in the crib as well, and he enjoys being there.
God is in the midst of every single part of our day. Even when we're changing diapers, it is a worship of God. Wherever we go with Judah, he has been the instrument that God has used in so many people's lives to hear the gospel.
He helps people be joyful. They just love to see him smile. My coworkers have asked me, why would you choose to adopt? Why would you choose special needs? I was able to respond to them. This is because of our Christian faith, that this is something that we feel called to do.
Adoption exists because God adopted us into his family. Our children were not meant to be without a home. In order to thrive, they need to be a part of family. Our days are hard, but there were moments where it just felt like God's grace. And we've flourished beyond what we could have imagined.